every way.
It takes 2 people out of 2,000 or 3,000 to ruin the whole thing for everybody, and that's kind of a freaky thing.
Some people have innate evil in them, and they are there to do evil.
We are interrupting your normal programming to bring you a breaking news right now. City and county leaders are set to give a live update in just moments on a mass shooting in Toledo's Old West End.
At last check, Toledo police are still searching for whoever opened fire near the Old West End Festival on Saturday evening, shooting 12 people there.
Now we've got those live pictures from Toledo's Government Center at the top right of your screen. That's where we'll hear for the first time publicly from Toledo Mayor Wade Kapszukiewicz.
He'll be joined by members of Toledo City Council, Toledo Police Chief Michael Trenley, who we have not heard from yet. Toledo Fire Chief Allison Armstrong will also be there, along with Lucas County Commissioners, the Lucas County Sheriff's Office, and a representative from the Old West End Festival. It looks like Council President Vanice Williams is there, not ready to start just yet, but she is expected to give opening statements as well.
As soon as that press conference gets started, we will take you there. While we wait, here's what we know so far from that shooting. Toledo police detectives believe 2 people got into an altercation and began shooting at one another just before 6 Saturday night. It happened near the Old West End Festival and left 12 people shot. We're told those victims are all expected to survive.
Police do not believe that number includes either shooter, and they have not yet publicly announced any arrests. They are asking anyone with any video or information to send it to them. You can also call or text Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous and could be eligible for a cash reward.
And we continue to have those live pictures right at the bottom corner of your screen. So as soon as that gets started, we will take that live. Again, this putting a national spotlight on Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, and even on the U.S. House floor, we're actually going to go right now. It looks like Council President Vanice Williams is at the podium. Let's listen in.
Go forward with this press conference, and after the press conference, we're going to... That's okay. Can you hear me now? I got to put my principal voice on, right? All right. Well, I just want to thank you all for being here. We're going to get started with this press conference. We're actually going to go forward with the press conference, and then after the press conference and our speakers, we'll go ahead and do individual interviews afterwards. So questions can hold off till after the press conference, and then we'll break off and you guys can interview anyone you want that's out here. My name is Vanice Williams. I am the president of Toledo City Council, and I also represent District 4, where the Old West End Festival was actually held this weekend. First off, I would like to thank all my fellow colleagues for being here. We have our Councilman John Hobbs, Sam Meldon, Cassandra McPherson, we have Mac Driscoll, and we have Aaron Kramer, Teresa Morris, as well as Nicole Mives, Dr. Brittany Jones, and my colleagues George Sarantu and Adam Martinez are traveling. I definitely have to say thank you to the county commissioners for being here. We have our board of commissioners are always supportive of us in the city of Toledo and throughout Lucas County. We have representatives from the sheriff's office. Sheriff Navarre is traveling as well, so we thank you for him sending someone here today. Congresswoman Kaptur, actually, she has a representative here too. We thank her. And we have representatives from OSN and the faith community. We appreciate you all being here. On Saturday, June 6, 2026, an assailant or assailants decided to shoot in a dense crowd of people out enjoying the OSN Festival. 12 people were shot and many were injured. At this point, I would like to turn it over to our Toledo Police Chief, Michael Trenley, to give us an update on those events.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for being here. I'm going to have a prepared statement here, and then I know there's going to be a lot of questions that follow, so I'll gladly answer as many as I can and provide as much update as I can for the investigation so far. But before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the victims, their families, and everyone who has been affected by Saturday's shooting near the Old West End Festival. Our thoughts are with the victims and everyone whose lives were impacted by what happened. We remain hopeful for their continued recovery. Right now, our focus is on finding those responsible for this violence. Since Saturday evening, investigators have been working to determine exactly what occurred and identify those responsible. This remains a very active investigation. Based on the information gathered thus far, investigators believe this incident stemmed from a dispute involving two rival groups. That dispute led to a physical altercation and ultimately escalated to an exchange of gunfire between individuals involved. While investigators believe some of the victims are intentionally targeted, the majority of those injured appear to have been innocent bystanders caught up in this senseless act of violence. Since the incident occurred, detectives have conducted numerous interviews, identified several persons of interest, and continue to follow investigative leads. Investigators have also recovered 2 firearms believed to be connected to this incident, which are currently being processed and examined as a part of the ongoing investigation. While there's still work to be done, I can tell you that investigators continue to make progress. I also want to provide some context regarding the resources that were dedicated to the festival and the response that followed. During the event, a total of 17 law enforcement officers were specifically assigned to the Old West End Festival, headed by the Lucas County Sheriff's Office, and included 8 Toledo police officers. In addition, the Toledo Police Department had up to 30 officers working throughout the district, including 4 officers assigned to the perimeter surrounding the festival. TPD also deployed 2 mobile cameras within the festival area to assist with monitoring activity. The Ohio State Highway Patrol deployed 14 troopers to saturate the area following the shooting and throughout the night. I want to thank Lucas County Sheriff's Office and the Ohio State Highway Patrol for their assistance and partnership. Their support was immediate and greatly appreciated. I want to also recognize the outstanding work of our own Toledo police officers and the Toledo Fire and Rescue personnel. Officers, firefighters, and paramedics responded immediately, secured the scene, rendered life-saving aid, and helped ensure victims received medical attention as quickly as possible. I want to thank the hospital staff at Mercy St. Vincent's Medical Center, ProMedica Toledo Hospital, and the University of Toledo Medical Center for the care they provided to those injured. Their professionalism and compassion have made a difference during this incredibly difficult time. I also want to recognize members of the community. I know you've seen countless videos of this, but our members of our community stepped up to help others before first responders even arrived. In the middle of chaotic, frightening situations, some rendered aid and some provided comfort. Their actions made a difference, and they reflect the very best of the city of Toledo. I also want to thank Ohio BCI, the FBI, Governor DeWine's office, and state and local elected officials, and the many agencies that have reached out to offer assistance throughout this incident. No agency handles an event like this alone. The cooperation and support we have received have allowed us to bring every available resource to the investigation. I know many people have questions, and understandably so. People want answers. They want to know who is responsible and why this happened. We want those answers too, and our detectives are working every day to get them. I want the people of Toledo to know that we are not walking away from this case. Our detectives and officers are working it. We will continue to follow every lead and use every resource available to identify those responsible. This incident affected far more than 12 people who were injured. It affected many families and friends, businesses, and an entire community. But over the last several days, I have also seen the best of this community. I have seen first responders rushing to help people they never met. I have seen medical professionals working tirelessly to care for those injured, and I have seen community members stepping up to help. That is Toledo. The actions of a few individuals do not define this city. How people came together when others needed help is what Toledo is about. We saw that Saturday night, and we will continue to see that every day. We remain committed to finding those responsible and keeping the public informed as this investigation progresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Trenley. We appreciate you being here today. Next, I want to bring up Chief Allison Armstrong. He is the Chief of Toledo Fire and Rescue Department.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, our thoughts or prayers are with all of those injured and impacted by Saturday's senseless act of violence. While that act showed us the worst of humanity, what followed in the moments after showed us the very best. We saw strangers who were shocked and frightened by the violence they just saw. They jumped into action. They helped others by placing tourniquets, dressing wounds, applying pressure, and comforting those victims until additional help could arrive. We also saw many law enforcement officers rendering aid alongside those Good Samaritans and our fire and EMS crews. Half of the patients treated and transported by the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department had tourniquets or dressings applied by bystanders or law enforcement. Those quick and selfless actions saved lives. This incident is an important reminder that bystanders are a critical link in the chain of survival. In the first few moments after a traumatic injury, ordinary people can make the difference between life and death. Applying a tourniquet, controlling bleeding, calling 911, and providing comfort are simple but powerful actions that can save lives. These are the stories that need to be told and shared. This is what defines our community. People coming together in the wake of tragedy to help one another and to save the life of a stranger. That is what makes Toledo an amazing place to live. To everyone who stepped forward to assist in those moments, thank you. Your courage, compassion, and quick actions truly made a difference. Yes. I pray that all of those injured continue to make a full recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Armstrong. And next, we'll bring up our mayor, Mayor Wade Kapsakavich.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank in particular President Williams for her leadership in the days since Saturday. Toledo's heart is hurting, and the reason Toledo's heart is hurting is because of what we've lost. Miraculously, we haven't had a loss of life. All 12 individuals are expected to survive. 9 have already been released from the hospital, and the other 3 who are still in the hospital have been upgraded. They're no longer in critical condition. I believe they're either in stable or good condition. So we didn't have a loss of life, and that is a blessing, if not a miracle. But we did still lose something over the weekend, and I think among the things we lost was a sense of innocence, or a sense that maybe something like this couldn't happen in Toledo. Before Saturday, there were 173 mass shootings in the United States this year. We were the 174th. There are a number of things that need to happen as a result of Saturday. There are a number of conversations that need to happen. Not the only one, but one of those conversations has to pertain to the fact that we are the only country in the world where mass shootings happen with any sort of regularity. We are the only one. We're not the only free country in the world, but we are the only country where mass shootings happen with the regularity that they do in America. We are the 174th city to suffer a mass shooting. We are the only country in the world where there are more guns than human beings. There are about 334 million people who live in the United States. There are 393 million guns. That is 120 guns per 100 citizens. The next closest country is Yemen, and we have twice as many guns per person as they do in Yemen, and I don't think anyone would confuse Yemen as an especially safe place in this world. The United States contributes 4% of the human population on this globe, but 40% of the guns. We're not going to solve this today, and seeing how the politicians in the Supreme Court in Washington have behaved over the last 10, 20 years, I don't know that we'll ever solve this problem in America, but it is part of what we have to wrestle with as a country. However, that is not the only thing that we need to think about today. There are local actions that we can and need to take, and actually all of us need to take. There is a role for parents, and I do think part of the conversation that has taken place is a need for more accountability from parents. And I believe among the responses you could see coming from City Hall could be attempts to strengthen parental accountability for events that happen in our community. I think there is a role going forward for young people. They have to be accountable for their actions. As much as we may have a heart to try to understand what was going through the minds of the young people who were involved in this incident, the reality is they did something that deserves punishment and accountability. And when our police find them and arrest them, they will be held accountable. I know our county prosecutor was very strong about that on Sunday morning. So there is responsibility that individuals must take. I can't tell you how many faith leaders have reached out to me in the days since Saturday. There is a role of accountability for our faith leaders, to whom many of our young people look for guidance. There's a role for our police officers. We need them. We need them to protect neighborhoods. We need them to respect the neighborhoods they protect. There's a role for everyone as we move forward, including a role for local government. We are 2 hours into the second business day since this event happened, and so we don't have any policies or procedures or ordinances that we've passed, but we've already begun to debate them. And I think going forward, you are going to see some change in how we handle certain events. There has been talk. Folks behind me and the folks in this community have talked about things like strengthened curfews. They've talked about wristbands at entry points to make sure that individuals of the right age are accessing these areas. We already have wristbands to make sure you're 21. Maybe there's a different color wristband that we need in some cases. We've talked about more opportunities for cameras. We've talked about more opportunities for scanning or checking book bags or other bags, as the case may be, as we go in. All of those things are on the table, and they're all things that we'll discuss. However, we have to be aware that many of those policies, had they been in place on Saturday, wouldn't have affected the outcome. This event happened at 5:30 in the afternoon. There's no curfew that would have addressed that. For those who think more backpack checks and access point checks were necessary, the series of events that produced Saturday all began when a police officer checked a book bag. In other words, even when the policies that we imagine may be put in place to address something like this, the exact same things could have happened. That is a reality that we have to face as well. And if there is a final group that I think could be helpful, it is the community at large. I can tell you that there are philanthropic forces in Toledo. There are business leaders who have already reached forward with dollar signs. The Toledo Community Foundation yesterday, and of all the coverage that this event has received, I haven't seen this covered, but they made a very generous donation to the city of Toledo, lined around our core civic priorities this year, putting their dollars into our attempts to implement a better Toledo. I know that the Community Foundation, among others, are wondering whether there are additional tools or technologies that can be used and invested in to make our summertime safer. Toledo is best because it is a family and it does unite. And I think we have already seen that in the days and hours since this took place. we, our heart is broken, and it will take time to work through what happened and to seek to make sure it doesn't happen again, even though we should know that in America, since our event on Saturday, we've had the 175th mass shooting in the United States. As we move forward, we will spend the time and the effort and the resources necessary to make Toledo a better place. We also understand that the work of the city goes on. We have a very exciting news conference tomorrow about economic development. We're going to make that announcement because it's important to show that the city evolves and the city moves forward. We have a really exciting event this weekend, the Watershed Weekend, marking the halfway point of the Metro Parks progress along the riverfront. That event is one we've been looking forward for a long time, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen with stronger public safety protocols, thanks to the efforts of the City of Toledo, but also organizations like DTID, who are investing some of their own money to make sure that people can feel safe at these large-scale events. We're about to celebrate our 250th birthday as a country. We want people to feel safe coming downtown and engaging in all of the events, to say nothing of the weekly church and neighborhood festivals that will continue. Those things will continue because they're important and they're a part of being a dynamic city. But if there is one thing I want to end with, I believe that we should dedicate ourselves as a show of unity and as a demonstration to the country what Toledo is really all about. I think we should finish the Old West End Festival. I know that that's not going to happen today or tomorrow or even this weekend. But much like the White House Correspondents Association was interrupted by what probably at that time was the 160th mass shooting in America, they had to cancel that event, but they said, no, we're not going to be deterred. We're not going to allow something like this to define who we are. They're coming back and doing that event again. I think it would send a powerful message to the national media crew who has descended upon Toledo in this moment to do the same thing Old West End. There'll be an Old West End Festival next year, but I don't think we should wait 365 days to show that we're not going to stand for an event like the one we went through. I think late summer, maybe early September, we should put a bow on that weekend the way it should and show that we can unite and we're not going to be held back. So I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to doing the difficult work of making the city the best it can be. And with that, I'm going to turn back to our President of City Council, Denise
What
Williams.
about the courts prosecuting these criminals?
Thank you. You can ask question later. As we move forward on, I want to bring the president of the OWestN Association, Lori Hammond, up to speak about the OWestN Association.
Thank you, President Williams. My name is Lori Hammond. I am the president of the Old West End Association, and I thank you all for the prayers, the support, just everything that you've done for our community. I do have a prepared statement. The Old West End neighborhood, which I have a huge representation back here, is truly heartbroken by the violence that occurred during our 53rd annual festival. Our thoughts remain with those that have been injured and all of those who have been impacted. We are grateful for the City of Toledo, City Council, Lucas County Sheriff's Department, Toledo Police Department, and Toledo Fire and Rescue for their swift response and continued support. While we reject violence, we remain committed to the healing, supporting one another, and moving forward with the resilience that is embedded in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Next up, I'll bring up my colleague, Nick Comives. He actually lives in the OWestN.
Good morning. Today I stand before you not only as a member of Toledo City Council, but as a resident of the Old West End, as a neighbor, and as someone whose heart is broken by what happened at our festival on Saturday. Like so many people in this community, I know some of the people that were injured. I also know some of the neighbors, nurses, medical professionals, and ordinary residents who ran toward danger when gunfire erupted. They knelt beside the wounded, they applied tourniquets, they comforted terrified families. They demonstrated the very best of who we are as a community in one of our darkest moments. The Old West End Festival is more than an event. It is a celebration of neighborhood history, diversity, and community. It is where families gather, where old friends reconnect, where children play, and where we showcase one of Toledo's greatest treasures. On Saturday, our sense of safety was shattered. To the victims and their families, Toledo stands with you. To those who rushed to provide first aid before ambulances arrived, you are our heroes. To the first responders, nurses, doctors, firefighters, paramedics, and police officers who worked through chaos to save lives, thank you. And to every resident who is hurting today, you are not alone. But mourning is not enough. We have spent years offering thoughts and prayers after mass shootings. We have held vigils. We have lowered flags. We have comforted grieving families. And yet, the violence continues. After the Dayton tragedy in 2019, many Ohioans believed that state leaders would finally confront the epidemic of gun violence with urgency and courage. Instead, years have passed without meaningful statewide action equal to the scale of this crisis. Governor DeWine has expressed concern after this shooting, as he has after others. But concern is not a policy. Sympathy is not a solution. Families deserve more than statements after tragedies. They deserve leadership before tragedy occurs. Ohio needs action. We need stronger penalties for illegal gun trafficking and straw purchasing. We need investments in violence interruption programs that identify conflicts before they become shootings. We need greater support for community-based intervention efforts that connect young people with mentors, jobs, and opportunities. We need safe storage requirements to keep firearms out of the hands of those who should not have them. We need stronger tools for our law enforcement and courts to intervene when credible threats of violence emerge. And we need sustained funding for mental health services, trauma recovery, and neighborhood-based prevention efforts. None of these measures alone will end gun violence, but doing nothing guarantees that it will continue. This cannot be a partisan issue. Bullets do not ask whether someone is a Democrat or a Republican. They do not ask where you worship, who you love, or how you vote. They simply destroy lives. Today, I am asking every elected official from City Hall to the State House to treat this crisis with the seriousness it deserves. At the same time, I refuse to allow this act of violence to define my neighborhood, the Old West End, because I know this neighborhood. I know the people who open their homes to strangers. I know the volunteers who spend months organizing this festival. I know the residents who checked on one another throughout the night. I know the neighbors who showed up at hospitals and who have spent the last several days caring for families and victims. What happened on Saturday was real, the pain is real, and the trauma is real. But so is the love. So is the compassion. So is the resilience. The Old West End was built by generations of people who believed in community. We honor them by not retreating to fear, but by standing together in hope. On Saturday night, I, along with many of my neighbors, networked to identify and support our neighbors in need. I saw community rally around one another in the face of trauma. I saw neighbors supporting one another, and it was really beautiful. We also stepped up to support each other by hosting debrief sessions and offering mental health support in our neighborhood libraries. Our community knows how to support one another. I felt that solidarity on Sunday when over 100 of my neighbors attended a vigil to share stories of hope and how we can rebuild our sense of safety in our neighborhood. I challenge those listening to ask themselves how they're building community. What volunteer opportunities exist in your neighborhood? How can you support our young people to show them the possibilities that can help to build their lives? We will continue to support the victims. We will continue to help law enforcement bring those responsible to justice. We will continue to demand action from leaders who have the power to act. And we will continue building a city where our children can attend a festival, a concert, a parade, or a block party without fear of gunfire. That is the Toledo that we all deserve. That is the Old West End that we love. And that is a future worth fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. I want to say thank you to Toledo Police and Fire, and for the actions that each one of them used that cared and concerned for our community. The training they used on the scenes to make sure they provided first aid and gave our community their lives of service. So we thank you for that. Thank you to all the citizens for helping out where it was needed. I also want to give a special shout out to a young lady that has been going viral, Sierra Wells. She was a nurse there on scene. After she secured her family and her kids, she made sure she took care of those that were injured. She took care of those that needed her. So I thank you, Sierra Wells. Thank you for using your training to help our community. Now what? Now we heal. Now we keep living. I was there Saturday at Delaware and Robinwood with my best friend and her teenage daughter. We heard shots ring out. We did fear for our lives. After that, I went to hospitals and I saw families. As a lifelong educator, and now a city council president, I fear our future. I fear the future that we're providing our kids. When we talk about things and events, yes, we need security measures. We should. We definitely need them to protect our families. We also have to think about how we include them and make them feel seen. Gun violence does not just affect those that are shot or those that are shooting. They affect those families. They affect a whole community. So I challenge the community not to only focus on healing from this tragedy, but think of ways we can include our youth. We should also look to strong enforcement. Those that don't want to be there should not be there. And we can weed those out. I also send a challenge to the community event planners to create events to target that audience. I challenge the youth employers to engage with the youth. I challenge us all to work together, not only to think punitively and exclusive, but also inclusive as well. We need to leave this place better, and we need to work together for our future. To the shooting victims, we are all praying for the families. To the OSN. The OSN is our community jewel and will forever be that. This does not define the OSN or Toledo. I'll say that again. This does not define the OSN or Toledo. Through tragedy, we can triumph. I want to thank the Highway Patrol as well. They sprung into action. They didn't have to, but they did. They sprung into action so much so that our Toledo Police Department had support, and I appreciate the support from every law enforcement agency that was involved, the Lucas County Sheriffs, the Toledo Police Department, as well as the Ohio Patrolmen. A lot of these people don't have to come to work, but they do. And they give their lives, and I appreciate that, and so does everyone here. With that being said, how we move forward, there are several things going on in the community. The OSN, they have put on some healing spots to talk about and debrief on what went on. Because we're not stopping, right, Lori?
We're not stopping.
We cannot continue to live in fear. We have to keep going. There is a Peace in Motion plan that the city adopted. And we are using that to move from this because we have to heal, and we have to heal through peace. MONSE, the Mayor's Office for Neighborhood Safety and Engagement and Save Our Community, is working with the community to make sure that our Healing and Compassion Fund is going on. We introduced, with the leadership of Erin Kramer, our councilwoman at large, she actually introduced our Gun Violence Awareness Month. Be aware, gun violence is taking over our city, our country. We need to make sure that we help mitigate that. There's an event on June 13th, this Saturday, at 11 o'clock at Monroe United Methodist on Monroe Street. They are having a gun buyback program. Make sure that you go there. They're giving away gift cards for each gun that's turned in. The Healing and Compassion Fund, you can give to the Healing and Compassion Fund that helps survivors of gun violence at the United Way. It was created in 2025 by victims and survivors of gun violence in order to increase access to resources to those affected. Most victim services funds had barriers to participate, required reimbursement, but now it doesn't. This fund created to support home repairs, medical bills, funeral costs, basic needs support, goes to a service provider. You can fill out the application and it goes up to $2,000. You can go to United Way's website to donate to this fund at www.unitedway.toledo.org/HCF/. I want to say thank you to everyone that came out today. I'm going to end this press conference right now and say go with God. But before we do, I want to bring it back to where we came from. God. And I'll bring this and I'll have Mansour come up and give a prayer in closing.
Thank you, Venice. Before I pray, I'd like to say, as a resident of the Old West End for the last 18 years and rector of Rosary Cathedral for the last 14 years, this course of events saddens me and weighs heavy on my heart because the neighborhood I live in is not reflected in those events. I quote the prophet Isaiah, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And so we bow our heads and pray. Almighty God, we implore your grace and blessing to help us be strong and courageous and to take heart with you in this time of unrest. Be with us during this time of anxiety and fear, and carry us in your arms, for we know you are our rock and refuge. I pray for the swift recovery of those who were injured, for comfort and healing for all who have been traumatized by these events, for those who bravely offered assistance together with the first responders, for the conversion of the perpetrators, and for wisdom and perseverance for law enforcement officers as they continue their investigation. May those responsible be brought to justice, and may our community find strength in coming together in peace and hope. For the prophet Isaiah says, "For those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar like wings of an eagle. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint." May God's gracious blessing fill us with hope, peace, and joy. Amen.
Amen. At this time, the press conference is over. Feel free to ask anyone here to speak. Thank you for coming out, and God bless.
Madam President, I think we'll have a lot of questions for the Chief. Chief, do you mind doing the whole crowd at once?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sean, anything for you?
Good morning. 2 firearms collected, you said. What can you tell us about where you found those and what you know about them?
So right now they are still being processed through our scientific investigative unit to confirm that they were involved in the shootings. I can confirm that As you guys know, we have been doing some search warrants, and we have brought in several people of interest to interview, and that's kind of how we have gotten to where we've recovered the firearms through some of our investigative leads and the search warrants.
And I understand there was some sort of scanning of a bag or some sort of check at a bag. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that is a little bit confusing still, but my understanding is during this process, before the shooting happened, one of the deputy sheriffs actually grabbed the bag and was going to check the bag, and another kid snatched it and ran off with it because there was a firearm inside the bag. So that we're still trying to piece all of that together, but that was a little bit before the shooting actually occurred.
Chief, you've made no arrests. Is that accurate to say?
That is accurate. We have not arrested anybody at this point. We have obviously brought in several people for questioning, and we have very significant leads on who's involved, and we are hoping to be able to make some arrests here shortly.
And I know the mayor said this is only the second business day since this happened, but people are concerned about their safety going out to certain events. Do you feel confident that this was a rival group? Was it a gang group? And was it contained, do you think, to those groups?
Yeah, so in the video evidence we have and the interviews we've conducted, this is most definitely two groups that were disrespecting each other, and it led into a little bit of a foot chase and assaulting another individual. And at that point, one person did produce a firearm and start shooting, and then someone from the rival group, if you will, decided to pull his firearm and start returning fire.
The gun that was in the bag, does that match the shell casings on the scene?
Can you say that again, please?
The gun that was in the bag, does that match the shell casings at the scene? Like, was that gun used?
So we're still in the process of the two guns that we have going through and running those through our NIBIN and comparing them to the shell casing. So that has not been done or has not been completed. I believe they're actually still doing it right now as we speak. So hopefully we'll have some further confirmation that they were the weapons that were used.
How do you feel about all the great work your officers are doing?
How safe is it to have these
we
public
can't even
events?
get a question except the press.
So obviously we have a lot of events coming forward. All right. We did have a good meeting yesterday with Metro Parks, with their leadership and their police department and the downtown group, and our police department and fire rescue to discuss those. And I am confident that we are putting forth a plan to keep our community as safe as possible. Now, as we saw here at the Old West End Festival, sometimes it's, even with officers being present, it's hard to stop somebody that is committed to doing evil, to stop them from doing that. However, we are doing everything we possibly can to maintain safety at these events. And I think we have a good plan that is going to allow us to move forward with these events for the rest of the summer and keep our community safe.
Chief, I know some people have been saying that there was some sort of discussion or chatter that something was brewing, something was about to happen in the minutes leading up to that. Have you received any information that people knew something was brewing?
So there's a lot of chatter out there. I have no confirmation that anybody, especially from the law enforcement side, knew something was about to happen.
Do you only answer questions from the press, or may I ask one?
Ma'am, go ahead.
How does, as chief of the police, how do you and your officers feel all the hard work and great work you guys do out there, and then the court system throwing these violent offenders right back into our society again to repeat undermining what you guys are doing for us?
So obviously that is a difficult position for us to be in when we're trying to do what we can to get offenders off the street. However, I will say this. We have a very good working relationship with both our municipal and common pleas prosecutors and the courts, and we continue to strive to make sure those individuals that we need off the street are actually held accountable and removed from our community. The last thing we want them to do is be back out there and continue to victimize our community. But unfortunately, there's a lot of things that come into play in every decision, in every court case, that we cannot control. We are one part of the criminal justice system.
Chief, is there any description at all you can give that you need the public to look out for? I understand you don't want to give anything away.
Yep, so I will tentatively tell you that these are two black male suspects in that 18 to 24-year-old range. We are still actively pursuing leads to find them. So there's a lot of things I cannot say at this point because I do not want to jeopardize our efforts to actually apprehend those individuals.
How many of the victims were bystanders as opposed to targets?
Yeah, so of the 12 individuals that were shot, Our best estimate is only 3 of those were involved in any of the activity that was happening. So 9 of the 12 were unfortunately innocent bystanders.
But you still only believe there were 2 shooters.
That is our best information. We have 2 shooters.
Chief, you've long had discussions about staffing from your department. Could, in your opinion, any staffing have helped try to prevent or try to mitigate what would happen as opposed to responding after it did?
No, at this point, I would say, so there's a lot of things that go into an event that can help contain safety or maintain safety throughout the event. Officers are only one part of that. The footprint of the event was very large, and it's done that way for a reason. I understand that, but that also makes it a little bit harder to contain that event. Having the number of projecting or off-duty officers that were actually assigned there, the number of officers that we backfilled from the shifts to be there, we had an adequate number of officers at this event to try to maintain safety at the event. Unfortunately, you know, there are incidents that happen rapidly, and unfortunately, we are not clairvoyant. We can't predict when it's going to happen, so we try to intervene when we see something, but a lot of times we're left trying to apprehend and prevent further damage.
Chief,
One more question, and then we're gonna end the press conference.
And what if we could ask the mayor, what's your...
You got one more question, period.
Mayor, can we ask you real quick? We know this has become national news. We know, it's, as you mentioned, Toledo is another city involved in a mass shooting. How do you get through this moving forward? And some have said, where were you the last couple of days? I guess you were out of town when this happened. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was out of town Saturday, and I think the chief was out of town as well. I can't believe anyone really said that, what was your other question? Was there a serious question?
Well, just the whole point about this happening in Toledo, the whole country is watching this now.
It is, and I hope they do watch us, because I think Toledo is going to unite the way Toledo always has united. We have faced adversity before on every score: economic adversity, social adversity, and Toledoans always have a way of battling back, picking themselves off the canvas, scraping the dust off and fighting back. And we're going to do that here. And actually, the amount of people at this event, the amount of positive ideas and feedback we've gotten over the last 2 or 3 days indicate to me that that's going to happen again. Look, nobody wants this to happen. Just like the other 173 cities that have gone through the same thing don't want it to happen. But when you live in the only country on planet Earth with more guns than human beings, even when you have enough police there, even when the police are checking bags, even when you have a curfew, I mean, all the things that have been talked about, we just had, again, 4% of the humanity on the planet, 40% of the guns. That is a math problem that this nation has to address. So I do understand that this puts a focus on us, and I think if the national media sticks with us long enough to see how we respond, they will see a resilient, tough, gritty city. I'll also say one other thing is that the way that we all feel here, the reaction to this, in some ways is an indication of how much of an anomaly this is. The fact that there is this kind of turnout and this sort of reaction and this kind of an emotion. I don't want to say it's a good thing, but it's an indication that what happened on Saturday is not normal. It is not normal. It is not the norm. It's not something we can shrug off and ignore. It's something that we have to address. So we welcome the scrutiny, and we welcome the scrutiny and look forward to telling Toledo's full story.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you. Thank you so much to everyone that came out. Thank you for members of the community. Thank you for my colleagues showing up, and TPD, Police and Fire, OSN. We have the diocese. We have other faith leaders here, especially OSN. So we definitely thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. And this meeting is adjourned.
And that is the end of that press conference that we just heard from the Toledo Mayor Wade Kapsakavich. We also heard from Toledo Police Chief Trendley there as well, and some updates to the shooting situation that happened this weekend.
Yeah, we are learning a little bit more from the Toledo Police Chief Trendley there about what may have led up to this. He said based on video and interviews, it appears 2 groups were disrespecting each other It led to a chase, a physical altercation. One person pulled out a gun and started shooting. Someone in a rival group, the chief said, then pulled out a gun and started shooting. We're also learning that of the 12 victims, 3 of those victims are believed to have been intended targets. The other 9 were innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire of that. We're also learning about the conditions of the 12 victims.
Yeah, so it sounds like 9 people have been released from the hospital. They still have 3 people in the hospital in at least stable condition. We are also hearing the past few days they have been conducting warrant searches. They've also been talking with some significant leads. No arrests have been made in this case just yet, but again, Chief Trenley is saying that they are hoping to make some arrests shortly. Was his wording there.
And we also have a description. This is what the chief shared, a description of the suspects. He said 2 black males between 18 and 24 years old. He said they cannot say anything else at this point. Of course, they have this active, ongoing investigation. But he also said they're still trying to piece everything together. And he also mentioned the FBI is involved as well. So we are going to continue to follow this and hopefully get some more questions answered here today, hopefully this week. But we will continue to keep you updated on air and online, WTOL.com. You can find constant updates there, as well as on WTOL 11 Plus, which is free to download on your TV. Until then, we'll see you on WTOL 11 News at noon.